All right. Today we have Anita from Portuguese with Anita with us. I'm so glad to have you on. I follow your page for a while. I like your energy, your good vibes, even your look. I think it's all a perfect match, especially to invite foreigners to come and learn our language. So, how are you?
Stephen. I'm very good. Thank you so much for inviting me. I was very happy with your invitation. So I'm
Thank
so
you so
happy to
much
be
for
here. Me and my
accepting.
dog, because he wants to be showing as well.
Maybe you'll start a dog language course too.
Maybe.
So, how's the weather there in Portugal today?
Well, very hot actually, because we had such a long winter, like very
I know.
stormy, very
Yeah.
unusually stormy this year. But the last couple of days, it's been like 30 degrees. Like
Wow.
that's like the normal now, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm very surprised. Like it's already summer.
Yeah,
And we
for
didn't
sure.
even notice the transition, So,
Hmm. I remember, I don't know how it was this year. I remember like 20 years ago going to the beach in March for a couple of weeks. Like March, I had good beach weather for a couple of weeks, and then the rain would come. Here has been horrible. It's still almost winter
oh,
until now. It's been
I'm
horrible.
sorry to hear that. I'll send you some
Hopefully,
sunshine.
yeah. Thank you. I'll take it. All right, let's dive into this. How did Portuguese with Anita begin? Where did it all start?
Well, I've been, a teacher officially for 21 years now.
Yeah.
And I was never, how can I say, I never felt I fitted in the traditional curriculum schools. I was very unhappy, just to be very clear and very honest, straight to the point. I was very unhappy as a traditional teacher in the Portuguese public schools
Hmm.
where you have a curriculum, you can't do much about it, you can't do your own strategies and apply your own methods. So then I was like teaching in international schools and started to be a bit, more in my beach, like we say,
Yeah.
estar na
Yeah.
minha praia, right?
Yes.
And where I eventually end up being the pedagogical director of one of these international schools. I had everything to be like, oh, I'm so happy. And I was, but there was still something missing. I can't explain this. And one day, my best friend told me, oh, you should do these videos on Instagram and Facebook. You should start a page, just to teach the language. You do it so well. I look at her like, what are you talking about? Like, I actually called her crazy, like, but she knows me well enough to be, to know that I would do something about it. I would think about it, So 2 days after this conversation, and meanwhile, she's the one responsible for this because she created my Instagram page and Facebook page.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And she made it. And then she told me, well, here's your login details in case you wonder what I told you to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, she's right. Let me start. So it started with me with my phone just at the time, simple phone, nothing fancy, recording some videos. And it started to work quite well. So I started to have many requests for lessons, like online lessons. At a certain point, I quit my job because it got to a point where I had like 60 something students just for myself, like online, and it started to be, quite a lot. And well, I noticed that, well, I need to do something about this. So, I was like completely full time, and that's how it started, the adventure, started to create online self-paced courses because I started to have many students from Canada, the States, Asia as well, surprisingly.
Wow.
And yeah, and I needed to do something about the language that could help everyone overseas as well with different time zones.
Do you
And here I
remember?
am.
Do you remember what that first video you uploaded about Portuguese content is?
Yes, I've done it like so many times. Like
Yeah.
I hated, it's funny to say this because now it's one of the things that I receive mostly as a positive comment from my students. I used to hate the sound of my voice recorded. I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes
Me
sense.
too.
Yeah, really. And now it's like a strength. From apparently, my students say, "My gosh, your voice helps me. Like it's the way you speak, and they were like, I used to hate that. What are you talking about? So it's maybe my superpower, and I didn't realize. So yeah, my first video was about something very silly in the language, a tongue twister.
Tongue
I
twister.
think it was o rato roeu a rolha da garrafa de rum do rei da Rússia, something like that.
That's
I
a
think
hard
that
one, eh?
was so the art training, right? And yeah, it was 2021, if I'm not wrong. So it's been a while.
What, 2021 is when the video
I think
started?
so. Yeah.
So how did you turn this community on social media into this massive online learning platform?
Well, I think people like my energy, my style, my methods work efficiently. And well, people started to connect and wanting to become a student. And then they heard already about me, especially the ones in the Algarve, about the work I was doing as a pedagogical director in the school, where I developed these full program for children to learn Portuguese as second language. And well, so it's just happened naturally. And I was just like doing it, like, going with the flow. And of course, I always wanted to have this recognition I have these days, but it's like something you don't plan, or you can't imagine that it's going to happen this way. I think everything just went very smoothly, but at the same time, like, wow, look at this, people like this, people love your courses, people love your videos. And that makes me so happy, and it makes everything worth it,
So
at the end of the day.
what is it particularly you think that makes your students trust you so much and support you? Do you think they already come in like support trusting you because of your videos, or do you need that contact with them?
I think it's the results of and the feedback as well of other
Hmm.
students as well. It's a lot of mouth to mouth. I don't know if that makes sense in English, but mouth to mouth as well. Oh, my friend told me she learned from you. Oh, I can see your
Yeah,
students doing so well. I want the same for me. And I think that as well, the like my courses, the maybe my strategies being so relaxed or in a relaxed environment makes them want experiencing that too.
definitely.
So yeah, I think that's the main reason.
You mentioned you have a lot of students from like the US and Canada. What do you think is their motivation to for them to learn Portuguese?
Well, I have multiple different scenarios that I could
Hmm.
give you. I have people who are from Portuguese families who immigrated
Yes.
to the USA and Canada as well back in the 70s or in
Hmm.
the 80s, especially from Azores Islands. I have so many students from there, right?
Yeah.
That is one of the main reasons, like wanting to know the family or the origins, the
Yes.
language, and passing them to their kids. The other one is for love. That's probably one of my favorites. Someone who married either Portuguese or the other way around. People who are willing to move to Europe, and want to leave the States. And that is like massive. Like every single day, I get emails from people in this situation. You want to move
Hmm.
from the States and want to experience Portugal for retirement, or because they have children and they want their children to experience the Portuguese culture fully as
Hmm.
well, and they want to be integrated in Portugal fully. So that I would say that's like the top three
Top
main
three.
reasons.
And the first one makes a lot of sense too, because you can imagine those families that came here in the 70s and 80s, and then their children, for sure, their first language before going to school is Portuguese. But then as school starts, and then extracurricular activities, and then work, and then you end up forgetting. They end up forgetting, or even if they understand it, they're afraid to speak it because it's half wrong and whatnot. So it makes a lot of sense that they would want to reconnect. But do you think it's also because Portugal has been becoming so popular again that it resurged their interest in their roots?
Yeah, I absolutely. And I think not because I'm Portuguese, of course, but Portugal is a beautiful country and has so much to offer. Like, not just like it's a small country though. It's interesting to think
Yeah, yeah.
about these, but the variety of things and
Oh, yeah.
qualities that you find in such a small country, it's remarkable. The food, the location, right? You have
Yeah.
mountains, you have the
Yeah.
coast, you have a bit of
Yeah.
everything, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
weather, right? The weather
Mhm.
is another factor that I think it's
For
really
sure,
good.
for sure.
And mainly the quality of life, the slow life mode, right? Like you finish, even if you come in, if and you work here, you still have time at the end of the day to go and walk your dog, to go to the beach with your children, and to go to cinema. I don't know, multiple things. You still live at the same
Yeah, yeah.
time. I think that is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, and that makes sense too, because in Portugal, like obviously not everybody. Then you have people from Lisbon. If they work on the other side of the river, it takes them a long time. But in general, I think most people probably live within 15, 20 minutes from their job, so they have a lot of time to themselves. While whereas here in North America, maybe most people commute 3 hours a day. Plus
Wow.
they'll yeah, because in the morning sometimes they get it better, but then after work in the afternoon the highways are horrible.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of time from people,
Yeah,
definitely. So you were
exactly.
saying most of your students are English speakers, even the Asian ones that come?
Yes, yes. Well, I have to be honest, more than 80 different nationalities in my courses.
Yeah?
And well, as I teach in English, but the thing is, you only need like basic English to understand my explanations. It's not
Mhm.
too technical that
Yeah,
someone
yeah, yeah.
needs to
But
be
that's how it
advanced.
has to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's all it needs to be because,
Yeah.
you explain a different grammar. But yes, I would say the top three places would be the States and Canada, and then England. Well, the United Kingdom, all of it, to
Yeah,
be honest.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you are from the South, right?
Kind of. I live in the
What?
South.
You live in the South?
I
Because
live
I
in the
meant because
South.
you said you worked in the Algarve, right? So
Yes. Well, I live in the Algarve for 27 years now, so most of my
yeah.
life.
Which
Yeah,
part?
but which part? Well, I used to be in Almancil, which is right in central Algarve. But this year, when I bought a house and I moved to the countryside
All
called
right.
São Brás de Alportel, which is very close to Faro. So
Okay.
more in the mountains, more in
All
the
right.
hills. So yeah. So now I have bees, a farm, and it's good fun. But I was born in Santiago do Cacém, which is about 1 hour from Lisbon, but still
Okay.
in the south. Yeah, we can
But
say so.
Santiago is an hour from Lisbon, but it's south of Lisbon, you were saying, right?
South of Lisbon, yeah.
That's not
In the
Alentejo,
coast of Alentejo.
the coast of Alentejo, alright, alright.
Yes. Close
And
to Sine, you know.
that's such an underrated area too, eh? Like,
Yeah,
everyone that goes to those beaches off the coast of the Alentejo, they're all like, "I gotta go there more often because you don't get all the hectic tourism. It's
I
beautiful
know.
beaches."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I was always a
Yeah.
beach girl.
Yeah. Well, you look like a mermaid, right?
No, that's what my friends called me since I
Yeah?
was, I don't know, a teenager because I used to surf a lot and yeah, the water was another passion. So they call
Nice
me
stuff.
Mermaid Siraya.
Do you think when these people come over, learning Portuguese deepens their cultural connections when traveling? Like when they come to Portugal, the fact that they know Portuguese will deepen their connection to being in Portugal?
Well, I think, Stephen, this is like in every other place. It does create big connections with people. It does change the way people look at you, right? Like
Yeah.
the simple fact of saying bon dia instead of good morning. It's like, oh, he's trying. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
so nice. You
But it's true.
always
It's so
said,
true.
yeah, it is, right? It's like, I'm going to give you a personal example. For example, I went to the Netherlands to visit one of my friends there, like in the beginning of April this year. And I made sure I knew the basic of Dutch because I think this is a way to not just to impress people, but to show respect for their culture. So when
100%.
people do the same here, Portuguese automatically open even more. We're very welcoming to everyone,
Oh,
But
yeah, oh, yeah.
from the moment you say something in Portuguese like obrigado or obrigada, right? Or
Yeah, yeah.
com licença, excuse me, these little magic words, like I call it, they make a huge impact on your experience.
It's so true. When I was 19, I worked at a hotel in Leiria, but it wasn't a touristic hotel. It was like a business hotel. But and I worked in the restaurant and bar. I swear, like if a Dutch would come in, a German, a Spanish, an English, everyone would try to communicate some Portuguese. Even if it's half Spanish, they'll try to communicate. But the French would never. It was like I had to know French. And it's true. That would be nerve-wracking. Like you don't even give it the minimal effort. It's so true.
Think the same thing still happens nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
or
It's always been a little bit
mostly,
like
of course, we
listen.
can't generalize, but
Yeah, no, you can't
mostly.
generalize, but everyone knows. It's a
Yeah.
listen, it's not a secret to anybody that the French are amongst the most arrogant in Europe, and that's fine. That's fine. It's not a jab, it's not a diss, it's just,
No.
the reputation they've put on themselves. So where do you
I
see
have
the
to agree.
next 5 months? What do you have coming up? Where do you see your
Oh,
online
so
platform
many
going?
things. Well, normally, my last 4 to 5 months of the year are the craziest ones, the
Yeah,
busiest ones. Well, the first thing you have now, it's the summer launch for my courses again. So sometimes I open the registrations for people who want to learn the language. So now I'm opening it for summer right now in the beginning of June. And
mhm.
then I'm also hosting my language retreats because I do some language retreats in Açores.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm taking an intermediate group of students to Terceira in September, and the
Nice.
beginner group, another one is the second of the year, a beginner group to São Miguel Island. So there are many, many things happening in Portuguese with Anita. So loads of things happening, loads of events. I do a lot of things because, my courses are online, but I like to be present in my students' life and help them like on the field.
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
I work with them like in the retreats this way. I spend 4 5 days, normally 5 days with them, experiencing local foods and traveling to beautiful locations while speaking Portuguese with the guides and having workshops of Portuguese. And, it's really good fun.
Do you have them try and ask for their own food in the restaurants?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they know what they have to do when the teacher is watching them.
How long typically does a student stay in your program?
Well, it depends a lot. I have students who live abroad, like in Canada, especially
Yeah.
Canada and the States still,
Mhm.
and they there for like 2 years. But not that they need the 2 years to learn, but because they need um, the opportunity to keep on practicing. Because you
Yeah,
also, for example, when you become one of my students, you have your platform with your course, and then you also have these lessons via Zoom to practice and where you have quiz night, book clubs, conversational sessions, debates, etc., for every single level. So they still attend these lessons to practice and not lose what they learned until they
yeah,
move here and they become like more integrated and have more people to practice with.
for
So
sure.
it depends a lot on the situation, right? And for someone who lives here, it's maybe a shorter period as they have Portuguese friends, Portuguese neighbors. So it does really depend on what is the situation specifically.
Mm. Many immigrants that come, like expats that come to Portugal, think they can because generally, at least amongst the younger generation, they can. But like they can think they can get away with it just in English, especially in the Algarve and Lisbon. When do you think it becomes a barrier for them not knowing the language?
Well, I always say that people will speak to you in English, of course, in areas like you mentioned where I live in the Algarve. Not all the Algarve, by the way, because the
Yeah.
Algarve is the touristic area, but also the countryside area, the interior of the Algarve. And Lisbon, Porto, all of these big cities, like touristic places, it's normal that people, they know how to speak in English,
Yeah, yeah.
but when you want to move to areas like the interior, the north of Portugal, for instance,
Hmm.
you don't have many English speakers. Well, the new generation, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
people in their 20s, because of the internet now, and schools have a English in their curriculum. But our
yeah,
parents, our grandparents,
yeah.
they didn't even, right? So there's no way they can have a conversation fully in English with you.
I
Uh,
remember.
Maybe French, because
Yeah.
some of
Oh,
them
yeah.
immigrated
Yeah,
to
yeah,
France, Switzerland, but
yeah.
not English. So it can
But
be
it
a bit of
is
a shock.
in general though, like amongst the European countries, Portuguese do actually speak fairly good English. I
Yeah,
think it must have to do with the TV, right? Like it's in their ears in the movies. Everything is translated, not dubbed, so it makes
exactly.
it easier, right?
It makes it easier. Yeah, and like I mentioned, I think it's more common now with the new generations,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for
But
sure,
I feel my parents' generation, they didn't have that opportunity, or they didn't feel they need it as much as it's
yeah,
necessary these days.
for sure, for sure. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have when they say they join your course to start learning, like their first class? What is the biggest misconception they'll have?
They think they will never be able to learn the language, and they always very insecure because someone always say, "Oh, Portuguese is so difficult, the sounds," and they hear this and that, and then they don't really understand that it can be easy when everything is explained in the right way, or with the right strategies, or in the right environment, because there are multiple things for something to be right to you, right? So yeah, sometimes people go back, they tell me like, "Oh, back when I started, my gosh, I thought I would never get this," and I get a lot of comments like that. And they always think that it's impossible to learn Portuguese. But from the moment they start understanding how the language works, because that's the biggest thing, it is a difficult language.
Yeah, for sure.
But when you learn all the tricks, all the formulas, because grammar has formulas to learn too, you know, and people start to look at it in a more positive way, and like, "Oh wow, actually it's not that difficult. Wait, I can do this, the nasal sounds, the R, I actually can do this. And it's
Yeah,
like small victories all along, so it's very good.
very good. What do you have to say about those people? If you look online in the comment sections and stuff, a lot of people will say Portuguese sounds Russian. What do you have to say with that?
I don't know who are they speaking to, but it doesn't sound Russian to me, and I
I
have
don't either.
Russian friends.
But to be fair, I did try and remove myself from understanding, and certain men that have like deeper voices, I can kind of see
Yeah.
it. But like in general, I don't see it either.
No, I don't. I have to disagree on that. I always think why. Plus, I have so many Russian students as well,
Yeah, oh yeah,
and I don't think. Well, there are some similarities, like in the grammar, that makes it easier for them, but I don't think it's that similar unless you are like doing the R tongue twisters, like
yeah, yeah.
for example, with the sounds of the R or things like that.
What do you
I don't
think?
really.
Out of these two, that now that you mentioned the pronounce the sound, out of these two, what do you think is harder for an English person to learn? The R, the or the ñ? What do you think is harder for them to learn?
I think it's the nasal sounds, like the
Yeah.
count, pound,
Oh,
not
okay.
just because of the sound itself, but because of the bad words they can be saying if they fail it. So like pow and pow, and they get scared, and I think that's why it's so challenging, because they super nervous and stressed when they have to speak it. Yeah, but the R it's difficult too. But generally, definitely the the ein, the oin, and the ñ. Yeah.
For someone traveling to Portugal and wants to try and infiltrate a little bit, what are two or three expressions they could use to sound a little more local and less textbook.
Tudo bem. Tudo bem suits for everything all right as a question or
Yeah.
as an answer. Tudo bem. It's all good. Okay, so tudo means everything. Bem, well, all right. Okay, so it's equivalent to is everything all right as a question or answering back? Yes, everything is okay. So tudo bem, number one. And then I would have to say pois.
Pois.
So the famous pois that goes for everything, like
Oh, yeah.
pois, like your friend is speaking and you want to agree. Oh, pois, pois. Like we
Yeah,
say
yeah.
pois for everything, Steven,
That's
right?
true.
It's like,
That's very true.
yeah, I think it's the most popular word in Portugal for sure. And number three, I would say greeting, bom dia. You can say
Yeah.
bom dia all day long, not just in the
Yeah.
morning. So
Yeah, that's
bom
right.
dia to sound like you are super polite and yeah, you can get away with whatever you want. You can always grab a smile from someone's face for sure.
Good stuff, good stuff. Are there patterns you notice in those that are seeking to learn English? Like the ones that actually learn to become a bit not English, Portuguese. The ones that actually learn to become a little bit fluent and the ones that like burn out after a month and just quit. Are there certain patterns that will make the ones that continue learn to speak fluently?
Yeah. I would say the ones that become fluent or for me to become fluent is to be able to communicate effectively, like getting what you want in your day-to-day life, okay? You don't need to be like, how can I say, mastering Portuguese into a
Yeah, yeah.
technical level to be considered to be fluent, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And those ones, they are the ones who try to integrate more like and speak more from day one. All right, you can feel that they all have this in common, like they start to speak from the simple bon dia, which is something already because you're already training your body for the sounds of the language,
Yeah.
not just speaking without a purpose. And then even though you need to switch to English to do the rest of the conversation, but they're already doing little phrases from the beginning. And the ones that take longer, if you say, like, if there is a pattern, I would say there are people who normally only get involved in English speaking communities.
Yeah.
And that
It's easy
don't,
to
for
have.
example, yeah, and that's why I always suggest to my students, you have me, you have my courses, but you need something else as well. Like, for example, go to I don't know, a boxing lesson in Portuguese where your
Yeah.
instructor speaks to you in Portuguese. Read a book in Portuguese if you like reading.
Yeah.
Switch your mobile phone to Portuguese. It forces you to know at least a number of situations in Portuguese. Every little thing does matter. And if they normally do this, they stay, they continue, they motivated because they feel they are progressing day by day.
Hmm.
The other ones normally they get involved in English speaking activities only. I'm not
Hmm.
saying that it's wrong. Okay, please don't take me
Yeah, yeah.
wrong. But when you are in a bubble, you can't expect the language to come to you if you are like in that bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might dismotivate them. And then it's the effect of other people as well. Oh, it's so difficult for me too. Oh, let's only speak in English. Oh, you don't need Portuguese, and it
Yeah.
becomes like, oh, I'm going to give up. You know what I mean? So I would say these are the two
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
And it happens like vice versa too. Even the Portuguese community that comes here, because there's so many of them, you have cities here that have dozens of thousands of Portuguese already. So there's someone that speaks Portuguese at the bank. There's someone they go to the Portuguese supermarket. They go like to the Portuguese bakery. So they can do
There
their
you go.
whole life in
Yeah.
Portuguese. And I've personally know I have an aunt and I had my ex-boss. Like they've been here for 30 plus years and they still can barely speak English. So it definitely happens the other way around too.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I've heard
Yeah.
that before. It's interesting to think about that in the other way around too.
What ends up happening is they don't even speak proper Portuguese nor English because they start mixing up words. Ah, it's funny. What I want to ask you something on a personal note because sometimes I'm in like on online and I see in the comment sections or I see videos uploaded of people teaching Portuguese, and it never made sense to me that people will write learn European Portuguese
I know.
and Brazilian Portuguese. Like for me, no one. It sounds a little bit disrespectful because no one does that with English or French or Spanish. No one says learn European Spanish, learn European English,
True,
learn European French. It's all
true.
the country, you know. So for me, it would make more sense learn Portuguese if you want to add from Portugal, and what would actually make more sense is or learn Portuguese from South America versus Brazil. The fact that they would emphasize a country, the Brazilian language, for example, or then a whole continent on Portuguese doesn't make sense. We're even the only Portuguese speaking language in Europe. Do you do you see like a little issue with that, or is it just normal by now because people
Uh,
just try to
I'm
generalize?
going to be very honest with you, Steven. When I started to teach online and to be like on social media, I was shocked as you are just like saying
Yeah,
that. I was just like, what? Like European Portuguese? What is that word?
yeah, yeah,
And then I was like, exploring a bit of that, and I realized that okay, so European Portuguese is the Portuguese as spoken in Portugal, but why should we distinguish it and not make it like a whole thing? And
yeah,
I never wanted to be how can I say dictator of the
yeah, yeah,
language, because I find that very extreme, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah,
Very, it narrows things, it separates things, rather than embracing it as a whole thing. And I started to do videos as well. Well, I teach Portuguese as spoken in
yeah, yeah.
Portugal, right? But what I do is, I'm not saying I'm right and the others are wrong.
No,
I
for sure.
normally don't refer that it's like European Portuguese. For example, when you see one of my ads for my courses, you don't see me saying, oh, learn European Portuguese. I just say,
Yeah,
learn Portuguese.
yeah,
And then sometimes you have the flag of the country, sometimes you don't. And what people normally do is that they comment if they want to know that if it's Brazilian Portuguese or
yeah,
Portuguese as spoken in Portugal. And then I make it clear, oh, I teach Portuguese from
yeah,
Portugal.
yeah.
But I avoid that. I don't like
But I've
those labels.
noticed. That's why I'm asking you because I've noticed
Yes.
that you don't really do that, but there are many that
No.
do that, and I'm like,
Most of them do that,
yeah.
unfortunately.
I just
And
I just don't agree with it too much, but not like I take
uh,
it that hard. It is what it is. I understand like it, but with the more you do it, you make it more culturally more like
true.
normal, and then it's like a
Yeah.
normal thing, and it's technically not though, you know?
It's a bit silly, in my
Yeah,
opinion, to be honest. And that's why I do so many videos with Brazilian
yeah,
teachers from Angola as well. I
yeah, for
love to
sure.
explore the language variety.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Angola,
I
Mozambique.
also actually mentioned that for my students, look, guys, this is how you say it in Portugal. But if you want to travel to Brazil, for example,
You see
you
it
need
like
to
this.
know that the word is different or the
Yeah,
pronunciation or this or that. I think like making it as a whole thing rather than slicing it,
yeah,
it's way
yeah,
more fun for the learners too,
yeah.
because it's interesting. It's
And
like
it
when I was
happens.
learning English, it
Yeah, it
happens. Like,
happens in English
oh,
too. Yeah,
in English you say lift, and in British English you say lift, and American English you say
elevator.
elevator. You
Yeah,
say flat or an apartment, and mobile
yeah,
phone and cell
for
phone.
sure.
I had to
It's
learn
bound to
that.
happen for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
The only
I
put
learned
and
that
put the
in
other thing.
university as a
Yeah,
global thing for English as well. So I don't like to do the same with like I mean to separate it
yeah.
in Portuguese. So I try to keep it as a global thing too.
Nice thing, nice word.
But
So
it's good to find people who find that like so unfortunately visible these days, the
yeah.
separation.
No,
Shouldn't
yeah, it's horrible, and people, like,
should be
are
one
rough on each other in the
language,
comment
one
sections.
heart,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird situation because just 10 years ago, it wasn't like this, but now
No.
it's there's, like, this online battle. It is what it is. You know, usually the bigger numbers win because there's more of them, but that's just how it is.
But you know what's funny? When I started online and I was not, I didn't have the amount of followers I have these days.
Yeah,
The ones that were there for me to support me, firstly, were the Brazilian teachers.
nice,
It's
nice.
funny. They were like, oh
That's
my
good.
gosh, Anita, so cool. You're teaching the Portuguese from Portugal and let's do
Oh, yeah.
things together, so interesting, rather than competition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
And I like
100%
that.
believe that. Like amongst people who know or like instruct themselves more, you won't have that problem. It's just the general population that has nothing else to do. They go online and they start these battles.
Like, oh my gosh, Portuguese from Brazil is better. Oh, Portuguese from Portugal is the original one.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is
come
what it is.
on.
It's okay. It's all
Do we
love.
need
It's
to
all
fight
Portuguese.
over that? It's so silly.
Especially if you take away the pronunciations, if you just read it on paper, it's not that different. Like you can e- either one can read the other one easily. Like if you're just writing it down.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I agree
Good
with you,
stuff.
Steve. Yeah.
How about on your on a personal level? What type of hobbies do you like to do?
Me? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I
You,
changed a lot in the last couple of years, to be honest. I used to be completely an ocean person,
yeah.
like surf, kayaking, paddle surfing, doing hiking as well, a lot of
Nice.
hiking. But in the last couple of years, I don't know, I had a bit of a switch and I'm turning a bit of more like a country girl.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think it happens as
um,
you age because I'm the same way.
yeah. And I have been, especially in the last couple of months, I've been learning how to be a beekeeper. So I have like thousands of bees
Beekeeper.
in
Right?
my property now. I love bees. I could never think it would become such a passion.
You gonna
And
make
I'm
honey?
also I
Make
am
honey?
going to make
Yeah.
honey. You're going to hear
Nice.
about Anita's honey
Yeah,
very
sure.
soon.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So I'm still learning. I'm very humble about the process. So I'm still
Yeah, yeah.
learning. But yeah, it's been very interesting, very interesting. And I've been doing a course of shooting as
I
well. I
saw
did.
that post the other day. Nice.
It's been really good. I actually passed the exam now officially, and I'm done with it. I just need to, to register for any competitions and things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Now I'm really looking forward to.
So the shooting is strictly for like the sport competition or any hunting in mind?
Well, it gives you the one I've done, the license, it includes hunting as well, but
Yeah.
I don't
That's not for
kill.
you?
No, I don't
Okay.
kill any. It's just for sports
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
for my own safety as well.
But it's been growing that sport in Portugal. I see a lot
Mm,
of people, even some friends of mine, I've been seeing them doing it too. It's like it's a growing sport there. People like that.
yeah, yeah.
Shooting the
My
disc, right?
grandfather was a very, how can I say, he loved it and he always has done it. My father too. My father was fantastic. He was considered to be one of the best shooters in the army when he was in the army
Yeah.
before I was born. Yes. So yeah, I think it runs in the family somehow. And I also been doing a lot of farming, planting trees, especially fruit trees and my vegetable garden. So those have been my hobbies in the last couple of months
Nice.
and year, to be honest. Yeah.
Nice. Hence why
And
you
I
moved
have
more to the countryside, right? That's because you like that stuff. So good.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I always liked it. As a kid, people say that when we get older, you become like the version when you were a little,
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
case, a little girl.
Yeah, yeah.
I was always like the Tom Sawyer version of a girl Tom Sawyer, like climbing trees
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
chasing the butterflies and the bees and all of that and exploring a lot. And I think that is happening now after my 40s. So I don't know. It's been fun.
Nice. Do you do you travel often?
Yes, I travel
Yeah.
often. This year I didn't do much. I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
to Amsterdam and a couple of other cities in the Netherlands to visit one of my friends. One of my students who became friends,
Yeah, yeah.
Marianne.
Nice.
And I also went to São Miguel Island with my students for the first retreat of the year.
Very
And I'm
popular.
gonna do 3 more trips this year. But
This
yeah, I
year
love
still?
traveling. Mhm.
Nice. Where did you end up picking up your English? Was it always here? Did you ever spend any time outside Portugal?
I did. One of my first jobs as a teacher and a tutor at the time I finished university back in 2005 was to travel to the UK most of my time. Like the base was in London, so I had to be in London like 15 days and then the other 15 days in Portugal, and like this
Yeah,
for about, I don't know, 6, 7 years of my life. So probably that helped me to be a bit more, uh, you know, uh,
sure.
fluent. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
More fluent in English too, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Out of Portuguese food, let me ask you, what's your favorite comfort food?
Oh my gosh, I love Portuguese food. That is a difficult question, but there's one
I know because there's
dish.
so much.
Yeah, right? It's difficult to choose. Sometimes people ask me, "Oh, give me a Portuguese dish." And I say, well, I can't. It's difficult. But if you're talking about comfort food, something that makes my heart melt and my soul like going back to my childhood is definitely a sorda de alho à alentejana,
Sort
which
of that. I
is
like it too. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
gostas de sorda? You
Oh
like a
yeah.
sorda?
Roast. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's so nice. It's nothing special
No,
for
I
people
know.
who
I
don't
know.
know what this is about, right? It's not very like, oh, difficult to cook or anything. It's just boiling water with bread like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
soaked
I
in
like it
it,
though. I like it.
garlic, a bit of codfish if you want, and coriander. My mother makes it like, and it's, I don't know. It just makes me travel to my back to my childhood.
Nice. Yeah, there's a spot in Lady every once in a while. I had it there. It's called Cervejaria João Gordo. He does it really nice too. Like sometimes I already went there like 2 or 3 times on purpose just to have it because it's like you're saying it doesn't at its face it's nothing special, but there's something there, you know.
Something there, right? That melts your heart, warms up your soul. What about yours, Stephen?
It's so hard because I used to be more of a meat guy, but now I like a lot of fish too.
Yeah.
I always like an easy, like grilled, like scalab fish, like a dorado or robalo. I love that.
Yeah, well,
But I
yes, so
also love polvo or bacalhau alagareiro. Just naquele azeite, aquela batata. Amor.
marav
I
yeah,
love that. But there's so much. Like
yeah.
it is hard. It is a difficult question. So I guess I could point out those ones and I'll be happy with the answer. But there's so many. Like even the easy, simple ones that usually all the kids like. Bacalhau braj is always a nice thing to eat every once in a while. It's
Ew,
it's
so
a
easy
lot of
to
stuff.
make as
Even the
well.
soups. Oh yeah, even the soups. I love uma sopa de pedra. I
Oh,
love
sim,
oh yeah. Or uma
caldo
sopa triste
verde as
também. Caldo
well.
verde. Oh yeah, I
Outra
love that
coisa.
stuff. So it is tricky and it's hard and I'm fortunate enough that for a certain period of time, like I was into sales in Portugal and literally every day, like I would have lunch in restaurants. Like I literally tried a lot of food and we have really good food.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I guess we're very blessed, like it's sometimes and we only really realize that when we go
When
to
we're out
other places and you think like, oh my gosh, I miss my food.
for sure, for sure, for sure. It's a
Yeah.
good thing at least, I'm a decent cook, my wife cooks pretty good too, so, while we're here, sometimes we like to go out to eat, but every time we do it, we end up being like, we could have eaten better at home. Nah, it's funny. But, okay, how about, if you had to pick one beach in Portugal where you can go to clear your head, just one, which one is it?
Well, I can't say it in the internet then because otherwise I
Oh,
could.
okay, okay, that makes sense. Okay, just mention the region.
Okay, in the east part of the Algarve.
Okay. Fair enough, fair enough.
Because sometimes you know why I'm gonna tell you why. You know that the internet sometimes it
Yeah, it
can
could be
be
tricky. Yeah, yeah, I understand.
tricky,
And there are
and it happened
people
to me already.
Oh, yeah?
So
Oh, I'm sorry to
I
hear that.
learned my lesson.
Yeah,
One
there are
day I
people
was
that are malintentioned, so for sure.
yeah, yeah, and if you share it with the whole world,
Yeah.
then it stops being so special because everyone
That's
is
true, that's true,
there,
that's true.
So I'm sorry if I can't pick one, but I can tell you that the Algarve, especially the Algarve, you have I call it like two separate areas. You have the west area and the east area. The
Mhm.
east, it's the one closer to Spain, right? To
Yeah.
the border with Spain. And the thing is that when you feel like having peace and quiet and loads of sand, that's the area to go to.
Mm,
When you feel like seeing the cliffs and the power of the waves on the cliffs, you should go to the west, So it
mm.
does depend on your mood too.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have do you have, like, let's say I know it's gonna be hard and there's so many words, but is there a Portuguese word that speaks mostly just based off of how it sounds and its meaning? A Portuguese
Saudade,
word? Saudade, right? That's
saudade,
a yeah,
a
especially it's
classic.
yeah, that's a classic, and it's our word that nobody else has, right? And it's
Exactly. It's so unique,
yes.
right?
It's unique and meaningful, and it makes sense even for the Portuguese history. Imagine the last 700 years since the exploration era and fishermen, they lost so many wives lost their husbands to the ocean, and some end up starting new families elsewhere and never came back. So there's a deep meaning to that word for sure,
You can
for
see it
sure.
everywhere in the culture, like in fado music, in
Yeah,
poems, right? Our
yeah,
poets,
for sure.
you feel it everywhere. And then, like, for me as a teacher, it's even more interesting in the perspective of the possible context to use it, because you can say that you can use saudade when you miss someone that you don't see for a while, but you can also use saudade for the person that is no longer here with us on this
Yeah.
earth, you know? And you can even say saudade for an experience or food, not just people, you know? So saudade, it's multitask for when you're missing, you're longing, right? So it's incredible. It's a fantastic word that we have. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for that input. Anita, this has been a blast. I really enjoyed meeting you, having you on the
Me
show.
too.
I appreciate you taking your time out to be with us and
Pleasure.
share your story and your journey with our audience. Where, if there are people here in North America, which I tend to have a bigger audience here, and say they want to join your program, where can they find it?
Well, they can find me if they prefer social media. They can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as well, and now the TikTok too.
Yeah,
Portuguese with Anita,
yeah.
and or my website if they want to go straight to see my courses, so they can
Mhm.
go for portuguesewithanita.com.
But on all your social medias, there's a link to take you to the site, right?
Yes, or they can simply send me a message, and I'm very, how can I say? And this is one of the things I make sure it's always me who's answering to people in the comments
Yeah,
and as
nice,
well in my social media messages. So if you message me, I always reply.
nice. Oh, you replied to me. I appreciate it.
Ah, of course. Why would I not?
No, I appreciate it a lot. I'm very happy. I like what you're doing. I think it's so important to keep the language alive, and you do it in such a nice way, simple, almost a half angelical way of doing it. It's very nice to watch. So I appreciate it a lot. Do you
So
get
I think.
when people meet you? Do they think you yourself are Portuguese, or will they think you're like an expat too? Because you
Well,
have
I
a
think
little
it.
different look, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. There's this misconception that in Portugal everyone has dark hair, dark
yeah,
eyes. So when they see someone who's blonde or a ginger like me,
yeah, yeah,
they start to speak English to you. My friends make a joke and they call me bifa, which is the word we use for English speakers here in the Algarve. Because when people approach me, they start to speak English to me. They think I'm not
yeah.
Portuguese. But well, the red hair runs in my father's family, and it was yeah, that's the
You know,
reason
they
why.
say, you know, okay, this isn't your field, you're not a fighter or anything, but if you were a fighter, they say the gingers have some strong genes, man. Even even under like for a
And
surgery,
tempers,
but
and
even for
very
surgery,
strong
I think they
tempers.
have to up the dose for the anesthesia. Like there's something genetic there with the gingers. Strong genes.
Yes, we have a chromosome that is very strong, very strong. Chromosome gen 16. I think that's how it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw some guys talking about it. Like a fighter was saying, "No, I already knew it was gonna be hard to knock him out because gingers have this thing to them," and it's true though.
Yeah. And we need to be careful with, for example, if I go to the dentist, she struggles to find the right
The
doses
right
for.
measurement. Yeah.
Yes, for the anesthesia and all of
Yeah.
that, it's very complicated. So yeah, I have to be careful. Well, but she knows me now, so she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Anita, thank you very much. I hope you all the best. Lots of
Thank you,
success.
Steve.
I hope you can grow your students from How many do you have now? 6 or 60,000 until now? What is it?
For my students in my
Online? Yeah.
courses, six
Yeah.
thousand. Yeah, yeah,
6,000.
6,000.
I hope you can grow that to 600,000.
Yes, let's go. I like that spirit.
That's it.
Thank you, Stephen.
Anita,
It was a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you so much for inviting me.
thank you so much for being with me. I really enjoyed it. Take care.
Thank you. Me too.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and hit that like button below. Obrigado e até a próxima.